Hello and welcome back to the Coaches Show on SportsNetUSA.net. My name is Ryan Osborne. I am joined by Janae Price. On Saturday, Fullerton takes down RCC by 1 point at 34-33. We have the coach's reaction. We're now being joined by Coach Garrett Campbell here on SportsNetUSA.net. Coach Campbell, Golden West to RCC, a full transformation not only for your offense, but quarterback as well.
There's a couple things at play there. First of all, we didn't know who we were. So, we're trying to figure out who's our quarterback going to be. It had been great competition up until then. We're trying to figure out what style of offense we are. I mean, obviously we know what we want to do, but at the same time, you're only as good as your kids and what they want to do. I mean, and obviously it's their execution that's important. But at the same time, Golden West, we played them in Game 10 last year. We played Saddleback, Riverside, and then San Mateo in the championship game. There was a lot of other things we were doing in the meantime. Golden West had a great chance to scout us, and they did, and they scouted us great. They did a great job of preparing for us. I mean, that was very evident in their game plan, and it helped that we didn't have our identity. We didn't know who we were. So, trying to figure that out, and then coming to the situation that we did on this last Saturday. Now we had settled. I think we had settled in on some positions. We had settled in on the quarterback. We had settled in on what we were going to run, what we were about, the style of which we were. Obviously, if you watch Gresh play and watch Gresh throw, he's a very different style than Johnny or Ladarius or Kane last year. So it's a matter of figuring out how you're calling plays for their success, but at the same time making sure that as a team you're being efficient and operating smoothly.
You talk about different throwing styles, different quarterbacking styles. You go to 2 years ago where you had Jordan Hoy under you, who would put up those 400-yard offensive games, something similar to what we saw from Gresh on Saturday. Did you see any similarity from what you ran in 2016 to Saturday?
So, no. Jordan was the kind of passer that would come back, and if it wasn't there, he would take off and run. Gresh is the kind of passer who understands how to go from 1 to 2 to 3 to even 4 or even 5. I mean, he's a very skilled reader of the field, and I'm extremely impressed with him. So the style is different. So if you're scouting them, you're going to see that. Obviously, Jordan could take off and he was quick as a hiccup and be gone, and he would take a run that should have been for 8 or 10, 12 yards on a scramble and break it off for 40. Gresh is going to get that 8 or 10, 12 yards. He's not going to break off for 40. That's just not his style. That's not who he is. But as you saw, he's going to lower the shoulder and bring the boom and power through and get 16 yards or something like that, as he did. He took on Vic Viramontes over there, and they two a former quarterback and a current quarterback hitting each other. And that's the styles are just different between Jordan and Gresh.
When you talk about Gresh lowering the shoulder, does it help your offense when you're able to punish a linebacking core, a defensive line on the other side?
I think it helps when your O-line can punish. When your O-line can move the line of scrimmage and stay on the other side of the line of scrimmage as opposed to be on your side of the line of scrimmage, and you're getting pushed on their defensive line, I think that's where the punishment comes. And I think we did a very good job of that, especially in the first half last week. We threw the ball a little more in the second half by design and the flow of the game. But I think we were able to run the ball and do some things, especially when Gresh, late in the game, especially the last drive, last touchdown drive, where he had a couple rushes that were quarterback runs, and he did a great job with that. But our O-line got great push and allowed him to get through the gaps.
When you specifically mentioned that last drive that you guys had, which led to the game-winning touchdown, he rushed multiple times on that series, and it led them to be scared when he was coming up to the goal line, the pitch to Eckford. On that play specifically, were you looking to Gresh to go immediately to Eckford?
On the touchdown play? Yeah, that was a play where we had offset the back, and we knew that based on their design down the goal line, we had schemed it up, and we thought we might get that, and it was exactly what we got, or what we thought we would get. So it was practiced that way. They operated efficiently, did a great job of communicating amongst them between the O-line, the running back, and the quarterback. They operated efficiently. At the end of the day, it's my job to put the kids in a position to make to be successful, and it's their job to actually be successful and make the plays, and they did that. So,
well, thank you, Coach. Good luck against Santa Ana.
Thank you very much.
I'm Janae Price here with tight end coach Keenan Gardner on SportsNetUSA.net. We've noticed the tight ends weren't incorporated into the offensive scheme. How do you plan to incorporate them more?
Actually, they are incorporated. Like I say, anytime we're in 11 personnel, 11 is when you have a tight end out there with 3 wide receivers. We're in every pass pattern. It's just a matter of the quarterback making the read. If we're taken away as a read, the quarterback is taught to go to the open man and go through his progression. So we're there. It's just a matter of, like I say, as it progresses in the defense we play against, we should be available.
Okay. Well, it looks like Spencer Owens, he looks like your number one tight end that you have out there. Do you think that he'll continue to be that throughout the season?
Yeah, Spencer is my only returning tight end. So Spencer is the only one that was with me last year, that returned from last year. So he has a year up on the guys as far as understanding the system, so that allows him to be able to play faster. But secondly, he's a prototype size tight end. Spencer 6'5", 250, runs well and has a good catch radius, so he'll have a lot of schools that'll be after him. So the biggest thing is to get a chance to get him out there featured, and where you don't see him in the pass game, he's very integral in our run game. Where our success at running has to do with him being on the field and sealing that in.
All right. Well, I know this Saturday you guys have Santa Ana coming up, the key to the county game. How do you plan to incorporate your tight ends into that game? How do you think that they'll hold up in that game?
Hold up, I'm not so much worried about. Yeah, I mean, you take every opponent, as is, but no. What we're looking at this week there, that they play more of a base 4-2, whereas with Riverside, they switch to an odd front. They have an extra linebacker out there in space. So whereas, as you saw in a couple of the pass plays that went to Spencer, he caught one, missed one, that linebacker is sitting there. Whereas this week we'll get a clean read. He would basically be looking at a safety having to come down and giving him a chance to make to make the play. So just by the defensive front, what they play, Santa Ana is going to give us a chance to go to the tight end a little bit more this week.
All right. Well, speaking of Riverside, you guys did play Riverside last Saturday on their home turf at that. But how do you think that gave your tight ends an advantage playing someone or a team that's in the top 5?
We look at every opponent the same. Really, every Saturday we go out there, it's more about us. We're playing ourselves. We're out there to play the best and perfect, as we say, the perfect game for us. It doesn't matter who you line up in front of us. Riverside just happened to be in front. I was glad we win, as being an ex-Riverside coach, that they protect that home winning streak. So what kind of got lost in it? There's never been a regular season loss under Kraft in that stadium, and we were the first ones to hand it to them. So that was, like I said, that was the only advantage of that game. But any opponent that lines up in front of us, we're playing to play the best game we can as Fullerton players. We're not really worried about who's in front of us.
All right. Well, I thank you so much for your time, Coach Gardner.
Absolutely.
We thank you for being here with us. I'm Janae Price, here with tight end Spencer Owens on SportsNetUSA.net. Spencer, we know that you're a returning player, so how do you plan to bring that experience into this season?
Okay, so last year it was hard learning the plays and all like that, but like this year it's going to be easier, so I know more of the plays, the progressions and stuff like that, where I'm supposed to be, spots on the field and stuff like that, so yeah.
So definitely they'll be able to, you'll know what to do. Well, I know last Saturday you guys played Riverside on their turf. How did it feel playing one of the top 5 teams and on their turf and winning?
Well, it was a crazy atmosphere because they haven't lost in 4 years at home, or they haven't lost since 2009, since the playoffs or something like that. But we went out there and we took care of business. So.
Yes, you guys did. And this Saturday we have Santa Ana coming up, the key to the county game, a game dating back to 1916. Yeah. So, what do you plan? How do you think that our team will do this Saturday in the key to the county game? At least the tight ends. What do you think they'll be bringing to this game?
Well, I mean, we prepare for every game the same, so we're not looking at it as a easier opponent or a difficult opponent. We prepare for every game the same, so yeah. So we just go out there and play what we do what we do.
Do you think Coach Gardner, is he teaching you guys anything specific for this game?
I mean, Coach Gardner's a great coach, so he teaches us stuff every day, day in, day out, weekly, so nothing's new. Like, he teaches us from the jump, so yeah.
All right. Well, I thank you so much for your time. Thank you for meeting out here with me today. We hope to talk to you again later on during the season. And I'm Janae Price with SportsNetUSA.net.
SportsNetUSA.net is the leader in community college football, and as such, had 4 different teams in play on the network on Saturday. Of course, the Fullerton College Hornets continued here on SportsNetUSA.net, in addition to stalwart Golden West College as well. For their third straight season, LA Valley football with Aaron Rosenberg was on the air here on SportsNetUSA.net, and also the addition of a brand new team here on the network, East Los Angeles College. They would have their first matchup on SportsNetUSA.net this last Saturday. Not only is East LA entering their first year with SportsNetUSA.net, but they are also enjoying life in the National Division. We mentioned last week about the addition of some new formatting in the SCFA, which took place over the summer. Everybody kind of switched around, and moves were made to ensure that Southern California remained competitive and reflected a balance in teams as well. As a result of the change, 3 new teams would make the shift from the American to the National Division, while 3 more teams would shift down to the American from the National. East LA, Southwestern, and San Diego Mesa all got promotions after having terrific seasons last year and being ranked as well. Going down to the American Division were Inland Empire stalwarts Chaffey College, who recently beat Fullerton in a bowl game in 2015. LA Harbor and Santa Monica joined Chaffey as well in the American Division. Fullerton College and Golden West would get the old switch around as you look at the rest of the changes that happened in the SCFA and the new conferences that were created. They ended up getting switched around and separated for the first time since the Rustlers moved into the National Division. The Fullerton College Hornets now reside in the Central League, and they are joined by El Camino, Mount Sac, Palomar, Cerritos, and San Diego Mesa College. In the Northern League, Long Beach moves over and will join the likes of Canyons, Bakersfield, East LA, and Ventura as well. Finishing off the divisions, you look at the Southern League, or which will hold Golden West, Grossmont, Orange Coast, Riverside Community College, and Saddleback as well, with the new entry of Southwestern joining them in the Southern League. For the other team here on SportsNetUSA.net in the American Division, LA Valley. They will still see a lot of old faces staying in their conference, with Allen Hancock, LA Pierce, and Santa Barbara staying in conference. Yet they will now need to face new teams, such as Santa Monica and LA Harbor. Since all of these new leagues were realigned and the 2018 campaign has started, it means we now get to have a look at the new squads playing under SportsNetUSA.net's umbrella of coverage. We start off with East Los Angeles College, who is playing in their second ever National Division matchup after a tough loss at Cerritos in Week 1. When we mentioned the East LA Huskies, they decided to jump into the deep end in the bigger division. Well, we weren't really exaggerating when it came to that statement. The East LA Huskies have the toughest schedule in the nation as they enter play in 2018. And when you talk about the Huskies, they had their second matchup of the season. That happened this last Saturday where they faced Orange Coast. That match started off with Orange Coast and Isaiah Alonso having an 8-yard pass from Pete Mitchell to make it 7-0 Orange Coast on a drive that had 12 plays and 76 yards right off the bat for Orange Coast. In the first quarter, they take a lead. However, East Los Angeles, as soon as they got that first taste of a score in the National Division in game number 2, well, they wouldn't let up. They had 4 straight scoring plays, including a David Allen 1-yard touchdown run, in addition to a safety that they were able to force on Orange Coast. In the third quarter, Juan Rangel had himself a 40-yard field goal to make it 12-7 East LA, and they would extend that lead. A Tredius Thomas 51-yard pass from Miguel Agüero, and it would make it 19-7, a 12-point lead. That drive, just one play. It was the touchdown pass. That's all it took for East LA to march themselves down the field. Orange Coast would get another score to bring it to within 5 at 19-14, as Dylan Laurent had a 40-yard touchdown pass from Nathan West. on a drive that took 2 plays and 46 yards in just 49 seconds as the Pirates were trying to get themselves back into the game. However, East LA shut it down as Kanan Chandler had a 3-yard touchdown run, and it's 25-14. That's how the match would end after that 7-play, 60-yard drive late in the fourth quarter. So a 25-14 victory for East LA, and that's how they would finish match number 2. They get their first ever win in the national division in the CCCAA. Congratulations to East Los Angeles. And you look at some of the stats that happened during that matchup. Total offense, 375 yards for East LA, 228 in the air, 147 on the ground. What's even more impressive is what their defense did for East LA. They held the Orange Coast Pirates to just 261 yards of total offense. In the air, 212 yards. And if you're thinking to yourself, well, 212 yards, that only leaves, 49 yards worth of rushing? You'd be correct. East LA held Orange Coast to under 50 yards rushing overall on the day on Saturday. A huge turnout for the defense for East LA. And then you also look at the amount of penalties that went against both of these two sides. This was a heavily penalized game. It really chopped up the pace of play. 15 penalties to East LA for 171 yards. 13 penalties to Orange Coast for 103. Two quarterbacks from Saturday afternoon, Miguel Aguero ended up with 222 yards passing and a long of 51 yards. That was the connection on the touchdown. He also had 1 interception. Nathan West had 10 completions on 22 attempts for 123 yards and a long of 40 with a touchdown and an interception. Pete Mitchell would also go 50%, 6 of 12 for 89 yards and a long of 36. East LA gets their first win on the schedule. They go to 1-1 this season, and they're going to play the Compton Tartars coming up this Saturday in Compton. When taking a look at the rest of the schedule for East LA, you see why they have one of the toughest schedules around. The Huskies will face Mount Sac, Ventura, Canyons, Long Beach, and Southwestern. Each and every one of these squads ranked in the top 30 in the nation, according to JC Gridiron. East LA is not going to have it easy, but you can follow them live right here on SportsNetUSA.net throughout the remainder of the season. Moving on, the LA Valley Monarchs, who are looking to recapture that glory that they had in 2016, where they had an undefeated march to the American Division title over Southwestern. The Monarchs had the state's longest winning streak at 15, dating back to 2015. However, LA Valley struggled last season and wasn't able to accrue a winning season for the first time in 3 years. They'll have a chance to change that now. The Monarchs began their season with a solid victory over Victor Valley College in the high desert. LA Valley was down by 7 points at the half, but rallied to not only tie the game, but brought across 3 unanswered scoring plays to make the final 22-14 and move them to 1-0. In the game this last Saturday against Allen Hancock, their home opener, things wouldn't go so easy for the Monarchs as the Bulldogs would go up 20-0 before the half ended, thanks to some solid plays on offense, beginning with Raheem Skinner's 4-yard touchdown run in the second quarter. Skinner wouldn't be done on the day, as he would scamper for a 58-yarder in the third quarter as well. And he also lost his shoe 2/3 of the way through the run, just showing that pedigree that he has as a running back for the Allen Hancock Bulldogs. Raheem Skinner would finish with 212 rushing yards on Saturday on just 16 carries total. He averaged over 13 yards per carry and grabbed 2 touchdowns as well. LA Valley would finally get on the board through an unconventional method, though, in the third quarter. A safety made it 14-2 Allen Hancock as the Bulldogs went back for a punt, but the snap sailed too high and the Monarchs were able to get a tackle in the end zone for 2. Immediately after, however, the Bulldogs wouldn't be done with the attack. Marching downfield and keeping a drive of over 65 yards alive, Jaden Vargas caught a 7-yard touchdown pass to make it 20-2. It was a tough time for the Monarch defense as they gave up 501 yards of total offense, in addition to 371 yards rushing on Saturday. That's enough to make any defensive coordinator cringe just a little bit. Kareem Miles would try and bring the Monarchs back on an over 45-yard touchdown pass by Patrick Gonzalez, and what made that throw successful was the fact that Gonzalez wasn't afraid to step into the traffic to deliver the throw, even though he was about to get decked, still completing the play to Kareem Miles. Isaac Bosley ended up finishing off the Bulldogs scoring on Saturday with a ceiling touchdown that made the match 26-9 midway through the fourth quarter. LA Valley is going to be on the road this upcoming Saturday, but the next time that you can watch them online here on SportsNetUSA.net will be in 2 weeks. We move on to the Golden West Rustlers here on SportsNetUSA.net. Of course, the guy who has truly been the head of Golden West football coverage, both Ed Ford and also Rashawn Haylock, the voice of the Golden West Rustlers. Well, the Rustlers, fresh off of a tough game against the number 1 Hornets, which found themselves needing to travel all the way down to San Diego to face National Division newcomer San Diego Mesa. First, you take a look at how the Rustlers played the Hornets. This was a matchup that saw Golden West ranked for the first time in a few years for coach Nick Mitchell. The Hornets entered as the natural favorite, being the 2-time defending national champions. Yet in the first quarter, Fullerton, though they took an immediate lead at 7-0, it wouldn't last for long as Bo Kahlbacher ended up showing up in that game and threw for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns as well. One of the first times since 2015 that Fullerton had allowed that much from a QB. Well, looking to the Mesa game, Golden West had the momentum and the confidence of that close call. Down they go to San Diego and immediately started off the game with a bang. Off the bat, the Rustlers went with an onside kick that surprised the Olympians and gave GWC the ball. 5 plays later, the Rustlers were in the end zone after a 2-yard run by Wolf Retzlaff. It took over 20 minutes for the teams to register another score as well. Dominic McManus caught a 6-yard touchdown pass from Jake Dunninway to finish off a 10-play, 82-yard drive. Interestingly enough, Dominic McManus wasn't supposed to be one of the top players for the Olympians, yet according to Coach Gary Watkins, McManus came in and had one of the best camps on the team and took everyone by surprise. For those of you watching live on the broadcast, you heard the voice of Golden West football, Rashawn Haylock, deliver that information to you as he talked with Coach Watkins earlier on in the week. Well, both Dunninway and McManus weren't done as they hooked up for 2 more touchdown tosses in the second quarter, one for 36 yards and the other for 9 yards out with only 20 seconds left to play in the first half. That's 3 touchdown passes going from Jake Dunninway to McManus. So at the end of the first 2 quarters of play, it was San Diego Mesa 21, Golden West 7. Now before we go on, we quickly need to talk a moment about what happened in the first quarter of play with Golden West moving the ball up the field. Bo Kahlbacher ended up getting hit hard and taken to the ground and looked completely out of sync by the third series offensively. Well, Coach Nick Mitchell then turned to freshman Nathaniel Espinoza out of Corona Del Mar High School. Espinoza didn't see time against Fullerton, but he was asked to take control of the entire offense for the remainder of the San Diego Mesa game. Back to the third we go as the Rustlers and Espinoza had some significant trouble getting yards and advancing drives. However, with just 2 minutes elapsed in the fourth quarter, the Rustlers marched down the field on 9 plays for 49 yards and came away with a Ben Ratzlaff 16-yard touchdown pass. Just when it looked like Golden West would be getting back into this after a significant defensive stop, It was Darian Maxwell who, unfortunately for the Rustlers, dropped a punt and turned the ball over inside of the 25. That would end up killing the hopes of GWC fans who watched live, as the Olympians had an 11-yard touchdown run immediately after. Espinoza would convert on another touchdown run with under 5 minutes left to go in the fourth, but that would be all she wrote for this game, as the Olympians take their first National Division win in 2018 and drop the Rustlers to 0-2 this year. Golden West is going to have another shot at a victory this Saturday against West LA. That game will be carried live on none other than SportsNetUSA.net, the leader for community college football. And don't forget that while all of these sports continue on SportsNetUSA.net, they are all brought to you by the one and only Miller Toyota of Anaheim. If you're looking for that new or used vehicle, go down to the corner of the 91 and Euclid. Miller Toyota of Anaheim supports community college sports, high school sports, and most of all education. Once again, that is Miller Toyota of Anaheim. You can go to them live at the 91 and Euclid, or also visit them online at MillerToyotaofAnaheim.com. Once again, that is Miller Toyota of Anaheim. So as you heard it from Coach Keenan Gardner, a Riverside victory that Fullerton is able to garner when they go out to the Inland Empire. Janae, you talked to Coach Gardner. The team excited about that victory.
Oh, they're very excited about that victory. It's been 5 years that anyone has beaten Riverside on their home turf. So for the Hornets to come home with a W, that was a real big W for them. They're very excited about that.
You talk about that top 5 team in Riverside, specifically number 3 team in the state of California, going into that matchup against Fullerton College. Gresh Jensen throws for over 410 yards. Peter Kazibwe ends up coming away with 12 tackles, 5 sacks, and a couple of tackles for a loss as well. Absolute monumental game for the Fullerton College Hornets. They now go up to 2-0 this season. When you look at this upcoming Saturday, Janae, a big game coming up for the Hornets. Why? Because it's a historic game coming up.
A very historic game. The Hornets will be facing Santa Ana and the key to the county game. This game has gone on since 1916, so this is definitely a game that we will be out there checking out. Many people will be in the stands watching, and I'm sure all of the Santa Ana and Hornet fans will be there as well, ready to cheer them on.
So speaking of checking it out, you can do that right here on SportsNetUSA.net. For Janae Price, I am Ryan Osborne. This has been the Coaches Show on SportsNetUSA.net.